Hey, how you doing, guys? This is ZedEye here. So today I wanted to talk about this very interesting thing regarding of the Callisto Protocol. So there's been a lot of, and I mean a lot of marketing going on for this game in the expectations of its release coming on the 2nd of December 2022. So just like few more weeks, a very short time to wait until we finally get our hands on this game. And basically, seeing how much marketing going towards this game is incredible. I really like seeing how much has been going forward to this game and also how much there's been conversations regarding it. But also, I'm kind of noticing the way that they're also showcasing it. It's not really that they're showing off the gameplay per se, but they're talking about like development and what kind of concentration has been going on towards this game, what kind of inspirations that they've gotten from as well. And I really like that. For example, one of the main features and like to kind of stand it out for me is that Schoenfield basically kept on mentioning that the soundtrack and the sound design music right in it was the most important part for him, and he keeps on like talking about that. And obviously at this point it just be graved in your memory, and just simply you want to talk a little bit about that too, especially when they're mentioning it, so much of it. And basically he mentions that a concentration of how they are actually implementing it and how everything has to be more like a creepy, mysterious horror sound, even how machineries work within like engineering rooms and stuff like that, how creepy they would be, and like with the noises that they elevate, and also how everything with the aesthetic and beauty of it as well. I'm talking about it in sound department, of course. But yeah, I'm just like thinking about it as well. And one thing particularly, what he mentions of an inspiration that they've got from a movie called Sicario 2. And man, I love that movie. It's so good, Sicario 1 and 2. And I mean, it's just that the kind of sound that they have with the deep low, it's so good. And I can definitely hear the inspiration that they've gotten from that movie, right? And that soundtrack that they've used for this game, the Callisto Protocol. And man, that's only getting my pumps up. Like, I'm getting more pumped up for this game basically. And I'm definitely much more looking forward to it as well. And it's just awesome to see how how much concentration, how much love I even will have to say went towards this game. But even though, and I'm gonna have to mention this, but like, this game is nothing original. It really is not. There's nothing original about this game. We've already seen it, we already played it in different AAA standards of video games, and of course the games that he made himself as well. Like for example, Dead Space 1, 2, and I think 3 as well, right? Yeah, I think it was 3. Because like I can't remember when he left. I believe it was like during the mid time of production, or was it afterwards? I can't remember. But still, it's interesting how much effort has been implemented towards this game, and that's why they were concentrating so much on the marketing department as well, of how this game came up to be with its creation, innovation, and also the inspiration. And it's so good to see these sorts of things. I really like that. It's like not the main aspect that you would actually expect to see for like typical, right? Say maybe you go out and just simply give out this game to somebody else and give out like during that deadline or that frame. Basically that's when you can release your preview for the game, or perhaps you can release your very first impressions of 10 hours play time, or perhaps even a full review like a day or two earlier from its launch. And of course, that's a typical approach, but also you wouldn't really be seeing too many marketing standards and done specifically coming from the developers themselves talking so much about this game. And it's not like we haven't seen that. Again, we have. But the thing is, the way they're doing it, it's so often. But the thing is, they're not showing the game, but they're just talking about it. But also they're talking about the things that we already knew. But the way they're also bringing up this conversation, it makes it so much more appealing. This game more mysterious, more interesting, and kind of makes you more and more intrigued about this title and what they got in store for it. What happens within this world, and how can the story be wrapped up, and will Jacob survive? By the way, the main character's name is Jacob. So basically, how will he survive this horror, right? The adventure that he has to go through. And it's going to be very interesting to dive into the story and dive into this world and how everything will turn out to be. Of course, it's not going to be, like roses and stuff like that. Obviously, it's going to be gruesome stuff going on within this game, brutal as well, and horror aspects everywhere. and I'm looking forward to it because of that. Like, if you guys know me and if you've been following my channel, and perhaps maybe you have seen my previous the Callisto Protocol video that I made, I said that I'm not too sure, I'm kind of torn about this game. And because I'm not particularly fan of horror games, that's just the truth. I do play them, but I'm not particularly a fan of them, right? I played Resident Evil games. I played like Resident Evil 7, 8, Resident Evil 2 Remake, 3 Remake, The Village as well. And I've gotten platinum trophies on all those games. But just the thing, right? Like, I'm just... I doubt, because like with Dead Space, it took me quite a long time to get into it. It really did. It took me quite a while to get into it. And when I finally did, I was all over that game. I really enjoyed it. But again, it was the same thing with Dead Space 2 afterwards, right? I started playing it, but then I couldn't get into it. A few months later, even years later, mind you, I finally got grooves with it again, gave it a second chance, and I got into it once again. That's why perhaps my very early videos I even said I didn't play Dead Space, or I didn't mention anything about Dead Space, but now I obviously have played it. And so it's interesting how this is the same thing, same pattern is happening for me again. I'm seeing the Callisto Protocol, and yet I'm still on the fence of getting it or not. But again, I kind of do, I definitely want to get it. And I know for a fact I will end up liking it, but I'm worried that I may not like it on day one. And that's just the thing. I want to enjoy my games on day one, because obviously that's when they're most expensive. Usually, if it would have been my kind of line of thinking, perhaps I should just like stay away from it for like a half a year to a year, and then that's when I should pick it up and give it a chance. And well, it's not really I'm giving it a chance, because since I'll be playing for the first time, so it's obviously that's when my first impressions will be coming at. But also I don't want to be spoiled, because there's going to be, I'm always on social media, Twitter, YouTube and stuff like that. And so obviously, this few segments definitely will be spoiled. Footages, gameplays, videos, clips, commentaries, reviews, any way possible, even if you block them out in some ways through there. Unfortunately, somebody's going to spoil something for you, or mention something that perhaps they didn't even intend to, kind of like spoil it for you. Or perhaps the things I do not know, and yet they're just meaning they're having a conversation about it or something about, and they transition over to the Callisto Protocol. And here we go, accidentally mentioned something that I did not know about the Callisto Protocol. And so it's kind of, I want to have my fresh expectations, fresh, mind going towards this game. That's why I want to pick it up on day one and play it and enjoy it. So I don't have to go through this kind of line of processing, line of thinking like that, right? It's just, that's a me problem. It's not a big deal. I just wanted to mention a little bit of here in this commentary. But yeah, after seeing the Callisto Protocol, long story short, the marketing, how it's going about, it does look like a very good game. By the way, I want to mention that there was a launch trailer that released just there like a few days ago. Well, I think it was yesterday, in fact. And it looks good. But I don't know about the music choice. But that's just me. I don't think the music choice was the right one. I think there would have been more on a creepier side. Music would have worked better, like they did for the previous trailers. I'm talking about proper trailers now. But yeah, the launch trailer, I don't think it really did its justice. Especially it felt like more action-packed than anything, than actually horror. I personally think the trailers would have done a better job of being mainly concentrated of horror aspect of the trailer, not action. But again, that's just me again, and it's going to be interesting to find out more about this game. And I hope I will get into it as soon as possible. And I'm not gonna on day one, I'm just okay. I cannot get into it, or for whatever the reason. And then like 6 months later to a year later, if not longer, oh man, I'm loving this game. God damn, I hate that. And it happens to me with Resident Evil games as well. Actually, it's just the horror aspect of video games that kind of happens to me. It's not like, okay, I'm sure you'll be asking this question as well. Is it maybe you're just scared of horror games? No. It really is not that. It's just the way they go about. Maybe the mystery and like what happens around the corner. One thing I hate is jump scares. And I know for a fact there will be plenty of those in here. But I'm just like, I don't like cheap jump scares. Like every corner, well, so often, right? So often. Every corner you make, or whatever there are corners, and you see jump scares or music pops up and scares the living crap out of you. I personally prefer like grotesque, brutal enemies coming at you slowly or fast, like with full sprint. Like that's proper horror for me personally. Jump scares, I think, is just a cheap gimmick, but to an extent they still need to be there. It's important, and I understand that. But again, cheap, jump scares, they are not for me. Resident Evil had a lot of that, unfortunately, and it seems like the Callisto Protocol will be that as well. Dead Space actually, well, to me at least, it wasn't really about jump scares. That's why afterwards when I got into it once again, I really appreciated it more, because like the game was not about jump scares, it was about the horror aspect of the game, and I loved that. Anyway guys, that's just my thoughts. Wanted to share a little bit in here, sprinkle it in here. I'm definitely looking forward to this game, and do let me know, are you gonna be, picking it up as well? Because like fucking what's his name, Midnight Suns is also coming out the same day. It's like, what? Like obviously there's the Callisto Protocol was going to get more attention than this Midnight Suns. Maybe that's why they want to release on that day, because they knew that Midnight Suns will fail in terms of the sales, and so they're going to be blaming that the Callisto Protocol took over the reins basically, and the Midnight Suns were so overshadowed. It's typical, pretty normal, and it's going to be interesting to see either way for the Callisto Protocol's success. Right, do let me know what you think about it, like and subscribe, see you guys all, and have a wonderful day.